Hello everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecolored.co.uk and thank you very much for joining me for today's project, which is by popular demand. Now, if you've subscribed to my channel or you've come across my channel before, you might have spotted that at the beginning of November I was lucky enough to attend the Stampin Up Demonstrators Conference called On Stage Local, which is here in the UK, was at Telford. And one of the things that we do at these conferences is that we create items and we swap with other demonstrators. So the idea is you take in you take in a pile of things that you've made. It could be a card front, it could be a little box. Basically, it's whatever you're willing to do and carry up there, and you swap with other demonstrators, and then you come back with a bag full of ideas and inspiration. And I posted the video showing all the swaps that I was lucky enough to get when I was when I was up there at Telford, and one of the items that was in my swaps was this. Now, this was made by Cherie Hobbs, and Cherie has her own channel at Cherie's Stamping Girls, so she makes lots and lots of little bags and notions like this. So I do urge you to go and check her out, because she is building her channel and I know she'd love to have you visit. But Sandy Jones, who saw my video in which I shared my swaps, said, could you show me how to make this little bag? So I said, well, okay, not sure how it's done, but I'll give it a stab. And I had to go, and this is my version. And if you stay with me, I will show you how I made it. Here are the items that I'm using today. I'm using the Paisleys and Posies stamps from the Autumn Winter catalogue, and in the same suite we have a coordinating DSP, and this is one of the 2 speciality sets that you get in the stack, and this is 7.5 by 6 inches, and that's really beautiful. It's copper embossed. It's lovely. I've cut a piece of soft sky, which is 3.25 by 2 inches, and a piece of Night of Navy, which is 3.5 by 2 inches. I have a little scrap of copper foil, and I think it looks to be about 1.5 inches by 2 or something like that. It needs to be big enough for that die. Okay. Got a couple of scraps of Night of Navy that I'm going to be stamping on later, and I've already mentioned the dies. These are the Paisleys dies, and they are also part of that same suite in the Autumn Winter catalogue. And I'm also going to be using Night of Navy ink and Versamark, copper embossing foil, and some of the craft cord, also from the Autumn Winter catalogue. I'm going to score my DSP at 2 inches and 5.5 inches, and that's on the long side, on the 7.5 inches side. And I'm going to turn it and score at 2 3/8. So that's 1, 2. So it's 1 past that mark there. And I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to rotate and count 2 3/8 again. So 1, 2, 3/8, and again. And I'm going to flip the card over, and I'm going to reinforce those those lines which I've just done at 2 3/8. All right, just to help them fold a little bit. And while I have my my embossing board out, I'm going to score my Night of Navy at 3/4 of an inch. So that is all my scoring done. I'm going to burnish the folds that I just made. And on the ones that I made on the shorter edge, I'm going to also reverse those and score backwards, because that will help when the whole thing comes together. Right, I have some tear and tape, which I'm going to apply along one edge all the way along of my bag, And yes, it does tear, but I'm going to use my snips if I can get them disentangled from my fob there. And yes, I know it's bulky and I know it makes a lot of noise, but it helps me find it on a messy craft desk. Believe me, that is a bit of an issue. And I'm going to remove the backing. And I'm lining up the folds. Okay, I'm lining those score marks up to make sure that that is nice and straight. And again, burnish again. And you can see the bag is taking shape already. I have my 1-inch circle punch here, and I'm just going to snip out a half circle. So I'm lining it up. Now I am going through 2 layers of DSP, and it managed it just fine. There you go. So that is a handy little helper so that you can get at whatever it is that you put inside. Okay. Right, now that is going to be the back of my bag. So I'm going to bring in my piece of Night of Navy, and I'm going to also punch this with my corner rounder, and I'm making sure that I've got that exactly where it needs to be. Okay, so I've done the one corner, and I'm going to do the other. And again, I'm looking through the back to make sure that I've got it lined up correctly. And that way I get a nice, even, rounded corner. Going to get some stamping done next. So I've got my piece of Soft Sky and Night of Navy, and I have my sentiment all mounted up onto my block here. Now it's photopolymer, so I'm tapping gently. At the Stampin Up conference I was at, somebody suggested that we tell people to rock it like a baby if you're a bit heavy-handed with the stamping. And this one says, "I thank you for your part in my journey." I'm going to put it above halfway, so you've got a space to write your signature if you want to. And I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now because it's photopolymer, I have my silicone mat underneath, and that didn't come out very well at all. But luckily the paper's two-sided, so we will try again. So rock it like a baby. Okay, stamp it up, line up your paper and your ink, and this time fingers crossed, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this time I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on the center of that stamp as well. That's better. You see, I make these mistakes so that you don't have to. Aren't I good? Oops. Okay, oops. Nearly put that away, and I want to do a little bit more on here. I've got a teeny tiny flower out of that same set, and I'm just going to put that down in the corner there. Alright, don't have to do that, don't have to do any of that, you can leave it blank, it's entirely up to you. There are no stamping police, they will not come and get you. Alright, so I'll put that on one side to dry just for a second. Now I've got my scrap of Night of Navy, and this time I'm going to be embossing, so I'm going to go over it with the embossing buddy. And I have Versamark ink, and I'm going to stamp out 2 of these cute little flourishes. Okay, count 1 and 2, and I don't know how well you can see that, but they are on there. Yeah, you can just about see that, that's good. So copper embossing powder, which I absolutely love. I've always loved copper. Always loved copper colour, copper metals. I mean, I have copper bracelets and all sorts of things, so I think it just looks completely, oops, rich. And try not to throw it all over the table, doesn't do anybody any good. So I'm just going to wipe that away. A bit of paper towel here because I do not want to emboss my table particularly. Okay, and heat tool. Here we go. Now I've just done that directly onto my table. This table isn't finished in any fancy way. It hasn't got fancy varnish on it or anything. My silicone mat will protect it a bit, but I don't advise heating directly on your beautiful veneered dining table because it gets hot and it can damage the finish. I don't care particularly about this table, it's a crafting table, but that's just a disclaimer, that's just a warning for you. Alright, so now I am going to come in with my paisleys and my paisley dies. Couldn't think of the word for the moment, and I'm going to take these over to my Big Shot and I'm going to cut these pieces out, and while I'm there I'm going to use this die and I'm going to cut out my piece of copper foil. So I will be right back in just a few minutes. Here you go, all beautifully cut out. Now just for a moment I'm just going to put these two pieces on one side. I'm going to put them somewhere safe because I don't want to lose them, because I want to do something else to this piece, because this is going to be the clasp of my bag, if you like. It's going to go on there, and the flap is going to come over it like that. But as it is, it's pretty delicate, it won't hold it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it to a scrap piece of Night of Navy, and I think that piece will it fit on there? Yes, if I'm careful how I put it on. So putting my Tombow glue on the back of my hand and spreading it out. I'm using the thick end of the bottle, and I've actually got quite a bit on there, more than I need, but never mind. Nothing like being generous, is there? And I'm just dabbing into the adhesive on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to stick that to the Night of Navy card. Now you can see through, it has blobbed through in a couple of places. I'm just going to get a tissue and I'm not rubbing, I'm pressing down and picking up, okay, to pick up some of that excess. But I'm not worrying about it because it will dry clear. And now I'm going to take my snips and I'm just going to fussy cut out around the edges. And this is mainly to give this little ornament a little bit more strength and stability, because it is, as I said, quite delicate. And if you have the precision base plate, you will find it's much easier to cut out these delicate and intricate shapes if you use your precision base plate, which was what I did, and I should have showed you. So I'm going to give myself a slap on the wrist for that one. Okay, now I've kind of missed a little bit out there, but you know what, nobody is really going to remark on that. If I really wanted to be fussy about it, I can take one of the pieces that I just cut off and just dab that edge again and just put them in place, and because it's on the back, nobody is going to notice. And if I'd used a better sized piece of card in the first place, I wouldn't need to do this. Let's come adrift. Let's stick that on again. There you go. bit of pressure always helps. Okay, so I'm going to let that have a few seconds to dry. Here's my stamped sentiment, and before I put it onto the inside of my little handbag here, I'm going to use my corner rounder again, and I'm just going to snip off the edges. And again, this is totally optional. Some people like rounded corners, some people don't. If you are not a fan of rounded corners, don't bother. But Cherie's original did have these beautifully rounded corners, so I'm following her inspiration. Right, now when I put that on there, I'd made my handbag helper too big, so I'm going to put it there so that when you open it up, the message is at the bottom. All right, because otherwise when you open it, it'll be upside down. Okay, if that makes sense. And as you can see on the back, this is the one where I went wrong. Now, snail would be fine for this. Fast fuse would definitely be fine for this. But as I've already got the Tombow out, I'm just going to carry on with it. Alright, because this paper is nice and heavy. I know there are people who will say don't use a wet glue because it warps your paper, but this paper is nice and heavy. And honestly, I don't think there's going to be a problem, and that is going to be on the inside anyway. So, you know, it's entirely up to you. You know, it's your choice. Everything is about your choice. Okay, let me bring back the piece that I cut for the flap at the top. Now, I've put my strips of tear and tape, couldn't think of the name of it for a moment. I've put that onto the back already, so that's all ready to go. I'm just going to take off most of the adhesive, most of the backing strips. Do you know what, my brain is not in the game today, and I'm just going to line that up just at the top there, and I'm just below the fold, okay? So that the fold comes over the top like that. Okay, I'm happy with that. Press that down, take that away. And we are very nearly done. Just a couple more things to do, and I'm just trying to decide what order I'm going to do them in. So I'm going to leave that to dry a little bit longer, so I shall bring in my, where's it gone, here it is, my craft cord, and this is going to be the handle of my bag. Now I'm just going to decide how long I want it to be, which is about that long and a little bit more, and I'm going to snip that off. Right. And it's already cut because I cut something for another project and then decided I didn't want to do it. And I don't like wasting things. I really don't. Okay. So, glue dot for this, I think. Excuse me while I get them out the packet. And just pick one up. Oh, bollocks. Sorry about that. Somebody came to the door and I had to go and answer it. So I'm just going to carry on putting the handles on, and as I just said, this is a piece of the craft cord which I've cut down to the length that I want it, and I've spread open the bits at the end, okay, and I'm just going to stick them on with some glue dots, because I think glue dots are the way to go. And whereabouts do I want this? About there, I think. About there. That looks good. Okay. And let's have the other one around here. There we go. Now, obviously, you can see the ends sticking out there. which isn't very pretty. So let's bring back the little pieces that we die cut earlier on. And again, as we have the glue dots handy, we'll cover those up just like that. And with a little bit of cord showing there, so I may come in with my snips a bit later on and give it a haircut. In fact, I think I shall do that one now before I go any further. There we go. It fought me. There we are. I'm ready to put the clasp onto the front of the bag now, and this is all nicely dried, so I'm just going to position that on the flap at the top there, and I'm just keeping the adhesive on the top part. I don't want it going onto this bit here, so I'm just going to arrange that where I want it, which is around about there. And to actually make it closed and keep it closed, I'm going to use a couple of little Velcro spots, or hook and loop fastening if you want to use the non-trademarked version. Now, these are self-adhesive, but I'm also going to put a glue dot onto the back of them because I suspect that these will get quite a bit of playing with, and pull those apart just for a moment. I put that one back onto the backing sheet just for a second. No, I shan't. I shall leave it there. Stay boy. Doesn't want to play. Okay, so I'm going to pop this one into the middle of the clasp right there, and then I'm going to pick up the partner to it, and again with a glue dot for a bit of extra security. And I'm going to close up the pouch, the bag, okay, and just put a bit of pressure. And that is it. Pretty much done. Here's the finished article. So if I just pop it open, I can fit a gift card into this side, and on this side I could put another gift card, or I could put a slip of paper or a little bit of card with a message, or in this case I'm going to put a little sweet treat in there, and then that all closes up. Now, although I've made this one as a sort of general gift, it would hang very, very nicely on the Christmas tree. Can you just see that? Because I could. And if I bring back the one that Cherie made in the first case, which is what has inspired me today, you can see that is done in our candy cane lane paper, and that would look very nice hanging on somebody's Christmas tree, wouldn't it? So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if so, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, leave me a comment, visit my blog and Facebook page. Details are below this video, and I will also put the measurements that for this project on there as well. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that I'm going to see you again soon. Bye bye.